Who still remembers when IS-4 was a Tier 9 heavy tank? It was actually kinda good Tier 9 heavy tank because we only had 3 playable nations in this game. We had German, Soviet and American tanks. IS-4 was actually a really good Tier 9 vehicle. Who still remembers when IS-4 was moved to the Tier 10 position? Before it was one tank before IS-7, but now we had 2 different Soviet Tier 10 heavy tanks. Even then, IS-4 was kinda good Tier 10 heavy tank. But that was 5 or 6 years ago. Game has changed. Game has changed a lot, and now this tank over here in front of you guys needs buff ASAP. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode from my little mini-series called Wargaming. Please buff those vehicles ASAP. The title of the series changes with every single episode, but you get the point. I am covering vehicles that really badly needs some tuning, some looking at by Wargaming. IS-4 definitely is one of those vehicles. Previously we were talking about Tiger 2, so if you want to see that episode, go check it out. A link is in the description as well for your convenience. But IS-4, yeah, why people do not like to play with it anymore, what should be buffed on it, and all that, everything is going to be, my opinion at least, is going to be in today's episode. And as always, I really do like to get some discussion going in the comment section down below. I would like to hear what you think. Should IS-4 be buffed? What should be buffed on IS-4? How much? And so on. Please let me know what you think. And also please let me know which tanks in this game should be buffed by Wargaming ASAP. Which other tanks besides IS-4 and Tiger 2, of course. So, let's enjoy this battle, and well, you guys are going to enjoy this battle, and let's talk about the legendary IS-4 a bit, because this vehicle was over here when the game launched. When the game was launched, it has seen everything, it has seen every single new vehicle in this game. Well, take a quick look at this picture, you see that IS-4 is over there, and this, I think, was our first ever released Soviet Tech 3. Only one Tier 10 Soviet heavy tank, IS-7, IS-4, is down over there in the Tier 9 position, IS-3, IS, KV-13, KV-1S, also known as KV-1 Sport, KV-3 is in Tier 6 position. We only had up to Tier 8 artillery, up to Tier 9 medium tanks and tank destroyers, and we didn't have too many light tanks. Well, this is actually kind of interesting, I didn't notice that before. No D-50 or D-50-2s over here. Well, they came a bit later. Anyway, my point is, IS-4 has been over here the entire game. It has seen every single new vehicle, but with every single new Tier 10 released, IS-4 has been like, yet another tank better than me. And now it is really at the very bottom of the list. It might not be the worst Tier 10, like Tier 10 tank overall, but it definitely is one of the most obsolete, forgotten, and one of the worst Tier 10 tanks, because there are so many ways to outplay it. And I mean it. There are so many ways to outplay IS-4. IS-4 might be a bit of a trouble for Tier 8 vehicles, of course, because it has actually kind of decent armoring versus Tier 8s. And maybe even versus some Tier 9s, but then again you can tap the 2G and all your penetration problems are history, because its hull armoring is actually quite decent. 140 in the front on paper, 160 on the sides. It has more armor on the sides than in the front of the vehicle. So if you side scrape it under 40-45 degrees of an angle, it actually becomes really good, especially versus lower tier vehicles, and sometimes even in Tier 10 battles, as you were able to see from the battle on the background. E-100 bouncing couple heat rounds with 350mm of penetration into the side, because, well, it is because of E-100 really doesn't know, I guess, that IS-4 actually has some spaced armor on the side as well, so this is more of a bad play by the T-100 than the armor greatness of the IS-4. But if newer players have not seen IS-4 too many times, if they have not faced IS-4 too many times, and if you are a legendary, the best IS-4's player, then yes, you can actually do some good work. This armoring, if you angle it correctly, it might work. It can work, yeah. But if you know where to shoot it, then it does not matter. So, if you take out the one thing this tank is designed on, is based on, is featured with, what there is left on IS-4? Is it the gun? Is it the mobility? Is it the camo? View range? No, 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 and no. So this tank is all about the armoring. But in nowadays world of tanks, it is so easy to take away that armoring just by clicking the 2 key, and I actually haven't thought about that before, but kinda big nerf to the IS-4's armoring was when Wargaming decided to make and release Tier 10 medium tanks and the Tier 10 tank destroyers. On many of those vehicles, on many of those tanks, the base penetration is already good enough to rip IS-4's armoring, the one and only thing this vehicle relies on, into pieces under almost every single angle possible. In this battle, 5,400 damage bounced, but most of that damage, the damage came from the lack of knowledge by the enemy vehicles and greatness of this armoring. Now, I understand that we have people in this game who enjoy the IS-4 that we have in this game already, who really could use some buffs, who could see some buffs, but they love the IS-4 that we have in the game already. Every single vehicle in this game has its own fan club, even, well, we have people who enjoy freaking M3 Lee. Yes, Tier 4 M3 Lee, for some people in this game, for some players in this game, is enjoyable. Or Churchill gun carrier, or Churchill gun carriage, or Churchill game carrier, as people like to call it. We have players who enjoy that vehicle as well, so of course there are going to be even more people who enjoy the IS-4 that we already have in this game. And as I said before, if you know how to play with it, if you master this armoring to the max, if you know how to angle it, if you play every single situation correctly, yes, it can be good. But you can do the same with most of the other tanks, with most of the other Tier 10 heavy tanks, way easier with much less effort. So this is why IS-4 should be buffed, and this is why it kinda should be brought back into the metagame. But good news, as far as we know, IS-4 was in the list of the vehicles that should be buffed by Wargaming or rebalanced by Wargaming in 2019. This is what they said in their plans for the 2019 article at least. So, ladies and gentlemen, fingers crossed. But now, let's have a look at some specs and let's discuss what should be buffed on IS-4. I am comparing IS-4 to the IS-7 113 5A Object 277. Oh, dude, we have 3 Tier 10, actually 4 Tier 10 Soviet Russian heavy tanks, but I'm not taking 705A over here, I am not taking E100 over here, for example, because bigger alpha damage guns, bigger alpha damage heavy tanks, they have completely different playstyle, in my opinion. But I'm also comparing it to the E5, Super Conqueror, AMX M454, and the Mouse. So let's talk about the DPM. DPM is one of the weakest, 2294. IS-7 has slightly worse DPM together with AMX M454, but IS-7, for example, wins with so many other things. Wins with the alpha damage, wins with the mobility, which is super awesome on IS-7 now, after it was buffed like many patches ago. But all the other vehicles, 113 has almost 500 better DPM. Same goes to the 5A. 277 has better DPM with 490 alpha damage and with a lot better penetration. E5 even has better penetration. Better DPM. And let's not even talk about the Super Conqueror, because this vehicle is just wow. Yes, it is wow. Now, penetration at the same time is one of the better ones, 258 with standard AP round and 340 with premium heat. So penetration values is respectable, really respectable. Alpha damage is in the middle, it is 440, it is not 490, but it is not 400 either, like on E4 or on Super Conqueror. AMX M454 has the highest alpha damage in his list, 560, but 705A for example has 650, 100 has 750. Reload time, rate of fire 11.51 seconds. Well, yeah, it depends on the alpha damage, of course, how good your reload time is, but we talked about TPM already, which is one of the weakest. So overall firepower should use some boosts, of course. TPM like 200, 300 extra TPM would help it out. So we already found one thing that should be buffed, in my opinion at the least. Next up, gun handling. Aiming time 2.78 seconds is by far the worst in this list, together with IS-7, but it is a 122mm caliber gun. IS-7 has exactly the same aiming time with 130mm caliber and 490 alpha damage instead of 440. So 278 is by far the worst. 5A, for example, has 2.4 second aiming time. Let's not even talk about E5 and Super Conqueror, because those guys can aim in under 2 seconds. Mouse 2.1 seconds, understandable. And AMX M4 with 560 alpha damage can aim in 2.11 seconds, which can be boosted under 2 seconds easily. So aiming time should be looked at. Accuracy 0.36, which is okay. I can say if I can see the buff on the aiming time, I can leave the accuracy the same, because accuracy in this game really doesn't matter too much anyway. If it is under 0.38, let's say it like that, anything under 0.38 is tunable, boostable. It really doesn't matter, and especially if we are talking about a brawler like IS-7 is designed to be. Then you always want to be in the close fights, so accuracy, sniping accuracy really doesn't matter. Now moving accuracy is also, wow, how bad. 0.24 compared to the IS-7's 0.15 for example, or compared to any other vehicle, is by far the worst once again. Depression 6 degrees. 6 degrees is something that I classify meh, yeah. 8 is good, 6 is meh, 5 is bad. Meh. Depression. Elevation, it doesn't matter. Really. So gun handling, yeah, it could use some tuning, some buffing. Mobility. This is yet another so-called department where IS-4 doesn't shine, sadly. Forward top speed 43, reverse speed 14, engine power 750. It is close to 61 tons heavy tank, and powered weight ratio 12.33. This is on the lower side, one of the worst powered weight ratios over here. IS-7, yes, it is designed to be fast. Powered weight ratio was boosted a couple batches ago, quite many batches ago actually. 17.6, 113 has a lot better, WZ5A has a lot better, 277, E5. Well, every single vehicle besides Super Conqueror, well actually Super Conqueror has 0.01 better powered weight ratio as well. So let's say every single vehicle over here besides Mouse has better powered weight ratio. But Super Conqueror, having as low powered weight ratio, has so much better terrain resistance numbers and has so much better all the rest of the stats than IS-4. So mobility maybe should be buffed. What do you think? Let me know. Hull traverse speed 27.11 once again is the weakest, together with Super Conqueror. Mouse, well, let's say when we're talking about mobility, we should actually cut out Mouse, because mobility is completely different on Mouse. Understandably, of course. Now let's talk about the one and only feature this tank is based on, featured with designed for. I don't know how to say it, but armor and health. So 140, 160, 100, 250, 200, 170. Yes, turret? Okay. Could be better? Okay. And it could be better mainly for one reason. Front of the turret is actually quite good. You can see 600, yeah, 600, 300 plus 291. Gun mantle is really good. The gun is kinda okay. This one is something, I don't know, buggy, but you have to be extremely lucky to be able to penetrate it. This turret could be better for one reason, and his reason is this light blue color over here. Impacted armor 30 millimeters. So 91 plus millimeter caliber guns are able to overmatch his roof on IS-4, and this really makes it weak. Hull armor 140, 160, 100. As I have said many times already, if played correctly, if used correctly, if you can wiggle with it left and right, up and down, I don't know how you do that, but if you use it to the max, then you can boost this armor. It can be good, but more often than not, most of the times, it really doesn't matter. And especially if people press 2 key or in full tier 10 battles, it doesn't have any value whatsoever anyway. So the only thing this vehicle is designed for doesn't work, then it sucks. It sucks. Hit points 2500. It is actually one of the better ones over here. Only Mouse has more hit points, but Mouse has the most hit points in this game, so I'm actually quite surprised. 2500 is a lot of hit points, but if your armor doesn't bounce too many shots, then the hit points difference really doesn't matter, because on Super Conqueror, for example, we have 100 less hit points, but his turret armoring in hull down positions, it can bounce so many more shots. So one shot bounced from the E5, for example, means, or one extra shot bounced from E5 means 400 extra hit points. Shot that otherwise would have been a penetration into the IS-4's roof. That is easily overmatchable, if you catch my drift over here. So moving on, view range 400 meters is across the board, almost across the board average, exactly the average, and it is good. I wouldn't buff it. So overall, what I think about IS-4, what should be buffed on it: DPM, slightly better DPM, maybe just make a reload time a bit faster, like 10.50 second reload time maybe, is going to help this vehicle out. Then aiming time, definitely please look at the aiming time down to 2.45 second aiming time. I would be happy with it. 2.5 second aiming time, I would be happier with that as well. And the moving accuracy, like, why it is so freaking bad? I don't know. Compared to the other dudes, Super Conqueror's moving accuracy is 0.12. It is exactly twice as good as on IS-4. Then what next? Depression? I don't know, man. Maybe -7 degrees gun depression. -8 I feel like would be a bit overdoing it. So maybe -7 degrees of gun depression. Over here under the mobility, if you want to leave those terrain resistance numbers the same, which is pretty much the worst across the board, once again, then please buff the power to weight ratio up to 15. At least up to 15. Top speed 43. Well, you can leave it. You can leave it. Now armoring. Well, of course, fix that roof armor. This is going to be the start. Please get rid of that like sickeningly weak roof armor that is overmatchable by tier 8. Many tier 8s actually. Hull armor, this is actually tricky. I don't know if this vehicle is still trying to be designed on the armor, then 160 in the front, 160 on the sides, and 100 in the rear would be a start. But please, get rid of that freaking turret weakness. Hit points, leave the same, I like it. View range, leave the same. So, ladies and gentlemen, IS-4 My 2 cents about the forgotten IS-4, what should be buffed on it. I made this video to remind you that IS-4 still exists in this game, and I made this video to remind Wargaming that this vehicle should be looked at ASAP and it should be brought back into the metagame, because it has seen every single new vehicle. It has been over here from the get-go. I like it actually. It is one of my favorite old-time tier 10 heavy tanks, and I want to see it back on the battlefield. You do not see it too often nowadays, in nowadays world of tanks. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really do hope so. If you did, thumbs up button is for that. Hit that bell button as well, together with the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And yeah, let me know what you think about IS-4, what should be buffed on the IS-4, and what other vehicles should be buffed in your opinion, and why. I love you all, stay awesome, take care, and bye.